Welcome to another edition of Mike Graham's Political Punch-Up right here on Talk Radio TV. My two guests today are Dave Levene, who hosts a show on Talk Radio, which is, of course, all about the best of the week. You can hear that every single week, very early in the morning. And JJ Anisiobi is here as well. The question to you, JJ, first of all, is gender neutrality here to stay? Should we do it for everything?
No, we should not do
Thank
it.
you very much indeed. That was the Political Punch-Up. We'll be back next week. Perhaps you'd like to elaborate.
A little bit. Honestly, in a more serious moment, I feel this society is becoming dangerously close to making women illegal.
Really?
Really. And if we don't stop it now, it's just going to get more and more out of control. Women need safe spaces. Adele said at the Brit Awards, "I love being a woman." And for that, she gets called a TERF. Yeah. How can a woman who is a woman not be able to say, "I enjoy being a woman," without being attacked? I think it's ridiculous.
What do you think?
I don't think it matters whether you're a man or a woman in an award. I actually want the best singer, and it's more appropriate to compare genre than it is to compare gender. So why not just have gender-neutral awards across the board?
But isn't it the case, though, JJ, that Adele won the award, but she only won the award because there could only be one winner, and so Ed Sheeran, who you could argue is just as big a star as she is and just as big a singer as she is, has to miss out?
Yeah, absolutely. So Adele gets the award, wonderful, it's gender neutral, but then there's no male winner. If we had separate categories, male, female, then everyone gets to win.
What's the difference between being the leading Brit, or whatever it was called, whether you're male and female? Surely it lessens it to go, no, you're the best female, there might be a best male. It's one overall winner.
No,
you have best film at the Oscar.
It doesn't lessen it. It doesn't lessen it at all. Yeah, but at the Oscars you also still have best male and best female.
Let me ask you a question. At the Brit Awards this year, JJ, which you were at, were there male and female toilets?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Oh, so it's not gender neutral everywhere then?
No, it's not. It's not. And this is another thing. We shouldn't have gender neutral changing rooms, gender neutral toilets. I don't want to see it in schools. I don't want to see it in public restaurants. They should be separate. They should stay separate because both for safety and for dignity, they should have separate spaces.
I mean, most women I speak to don't want men walking into their toilet. And they certainly don't want men walking into their changing room at Marks and Spencer's.
Well, women's toilets are usually actually much nicer and much
well, I wouldn't know. I've never been in them.
How do you know, Dave?
I've never been in them, so I don't know.
Well, in an emergency. Yeah. but also...
All I know is the queue's always a lot longer. So it's often the other way around. You see women going into the men's toilets because it's easier to get in. Football matches and all
men absolutely do benefit for that. But if you've got cubicles, what does it matter if there's a man
it
or
matters.
a woman in the space?
No, it definitely matters. I mean, there are lots of places in London now, lots of restaurants where you go and they have just cubicles. But it's a weird scene if you've got men and women in the same space. Yeah. It doesn't work for me.
It doesn't work. And it's one thing if you have the cubicle and the cubicle door opens straight into the open space, like a disabled toilet does. Yeah. That's fine. But having to go into a room which is still called, so you've got the room, and then within that room, then you have the cubicles. I don't think that's safe.
And I know it's supposed to be trendy.
How is it unsafe?
Because if I as a male wanted to go in there and push a woman back into the bathroom and do something inappropriate to her, then I mean that's secluded space.
That would be more to do with someone being a rapist or sexually assaulting someone than to do with their gender.
Yeah, but in most situations, you're not going to have that possibility of happening, are you? Because men and women are not going to be in the same place in a little room like that. Whereas if you have encouraged people to do that, then there's more likelihood of it happening.
But I would suggest that actually, if you look at statistics, that probably fewer sexual assaults happen in bathrooms than they do elsewhere.
That's because they don't have gender-neutral bathrooms.
Yeah, but do you really think that someone is going to go, oh, well, it's got a sign for a woman on the door, I can't go in there? Surely it makes it even easier for them to sexually assault someone in the bathroom because they're not expected to be there.
No, I don't think you're right about that.
Yeah, I think
Let's talk about gender neutrality everywhere, because at the moment that is very much a narrative that people are talking about. And people say, I don't wish to be identified as a man or a woman. I wish to be identified as whatever I wish to be identified as. I mean, we had a story on Plank of the Week this week that people in Bristol University can be identified as cats, which seems a bit odd to me, to be honest. I don't think they want a separate toilet, do they? You just give a litter tray.
Just in the corner, off you go, mate.
But I mean, I think it's a very serious subject, and I think we have to make sure that if it is done as a kind of gimmick, for an award ceremony, it doesn't seep into every aspect of life.
No, it has to be done authentically. And I think that if you look across society, that there are ways in which it is already being done that doesn't end up in the paper and doesn't end up being an argument. You know,
Name
there
some.
are. Sorry?
Name some. Name an example.
Okay, there are five-a-side football teams that include both men and women. There are netball teams that include men and women. There are
what are
MMA
they called?
classes. They're just called football teams and five-a-side.
Yeah, but
there are
that's-
MMA classes and training classes that include men and women.
And what happens when they go to the changing room? That's the important part. Boys and girls can play sport together. Boys and girls are educated together. That isn't the question. That's fine. But we're talking about the safe spaces.
It depends where you go. But
Well, they're
you
not
know,
sharing the showers, are they?
No, they're not
Well, let's
sharing
hope
showers.
not, anyway.
Yeah, the showering is still separate then, Dave.
Yeah, but showers are cubicled anyway. I don't share the showers
they're
with
not.
other
They're
men.
not.
No, they're not. And if you play five-a-side football, they have those
Yeah,
open
open ones.
showers.
No, most of the like power leagues and goals have cubicled showers now.
No. I've always been to the football and had to shower openly with all the other
Yeah,
boys.
years ago, I'm sure, but now you would say that with more openness about gender, more openness about sexuality, privacy.
But it's not more openness, is it? It's about more closeness, because you're saying that you don't have a gender. You're saying to people, you're all the same.
No,
when
no,
you're not.
I'm saying that you have a right to privacy and safety, and that should be in a cubicle or a private space within a bigger room. I don't see why me using a locker has anything to do with whether I shower in a cubicle in a men's changing room or a cubicle in a women's changing room.
What about in gyms? I mean, if you go to a gym and you find that there's only one changing room,
Yeah.
you know, where people tend to disrobe in public rather than sort of in a cubicle as such,
Yeah.
you know, you can't do that, can you?
I don't think you should be able to. I believe in safe spaces for women and not having to force women to accept having males in their spaces, because that's not okay. And if there's, for example, trans or non-binary, they should have their own safe space also, where they feel comfortable.
So you should have a third changing room.
a third changing room.
But what about the trans people that would say, actually, I identify as a woman, I want to go into the women's changing room?
Well, you say, no, you can't do that because now you're all gender neutral.
Yeah.
Well,
So
no,
it
but
starts to get difficult, doesn't it?
But,
Yeah.
No, but this.
So why should they object if the women aren't allowed to?
No, but if JJ is saying there's a women's space, a men's space, and a trans space, the trans-identifying men would want to go into the male space, and trans-identifying women would want to be in the women's space. But JJ is saying no, they can't go into that. They have to have their own space.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not how they identify.
You have to build a lot more dressing rooms, don't you?
A lot more space.
Lot more
Or you just have
we haven't
one
got enough
dressing-
space in this country as it is.
Or you just have lots of changing room spaces with privacy areas within them, cubicles.
Or maybe you just change at home. And don't do it. There you go. You see, I've solved it.
But you've been into changing rooms at shops where they just have cubicles where you pull the curtain across, and sometimes they don't have men's and women's spaces; they just have cubicles.
But there's also someone on guard there watching.
There's somebody,
also.
there's somebody
someone
watching.
there,
You don't
yeah.
put clothes on and walk out with them on
Yeah.
and not pay for them.
Yeah.
So you
I-
know,
I-
that's,
I-
a
I-
controlled,
in changing
that's a
rooms?
controlled space. That's not a space.
Right. So
which is open.
what? There's no one that during the operating hours of a gym that goes in and
That hangs out
checks
in the
it,
changing room.
or-
No, but there's constantly someone at the changing
Yeah,
room.
but you don't.
That's
What you
never
don't
bad.
get right is when you go into those places with curtains, you don't see people wandering about naked, do you?
No, but you don't necessarily see that all the time at the gym.
I wouldn't know. I don't go, as you can see. Anyway, it's going to be a little bell that you're going to hear now, because I'm going to have to give my very neutral verdict on who's going to win this particular debate. And today, it was a good political punch-up, that, with lots of different issues, because we're not quite certain where we're going with this. The Brit Awards are gender neutral. I don't think anything else should be gender neutral. So on that basis, I'm going to give the win today to JJ, who has long awaited this because he's lost a couple in the previous times. Dave Levene, 0. JJ, 1. That was the political punch-up. We'll see you next time.